Hey there everybody, it's John, and in today's lesson I want to talk about using ideas that you're using in your solos, for example licks or riffs maybe that you're using in songs, taking pieces of those and using them as exercises instead of just going through scales and scale patterns, which I use frequently, but sometimes I like taking a little section or a little sequence from a song where one of my clients is having a little difficulty and we use just that one piece as an exercise. We'll take that lick or riff and we'll put it on a metronome and slow it down if we have to, try it at different tempos, and work with that one little piece until it flows nice and smoothly. Put it back into the song and your playing is nice and effortless. So I've got a couple of licks here to use as an example. Today's key is going to be D, so we're going to be working in D minor pentatonic. And your first lick or your first sequence is going to sound like this. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes here. I got 13th fret on the high E, pull off to the 10th fret. And also notice, I should make a note that I'm using my third finger on that 13th fret because I'm going to be using my fourth finger up here on one of the next notes. So let's start that one again. So third finger, 13th fret, high E string. Pull off to the 10th fret, first finger, 13th fret B string, and there's your first three notes. The next three are all in the high E string. 10th fret, hammer on to the 15th fret with the fourth finger, and then pull off back to the 10th fret. So our 6-note sequence once again. And that's the whole sequence. You can take variations of that sequence and run it all the way through your pentatonic scales. Here's a couple of ideas to get you rolling with variations. I'm going to change the 6-note pattern. Now it's going to start here, 12th fret, high E string. But it's very similar, so here we go. 12th fret, high E, pull off to the 10th fret, 13th fret B string, and then here's my hammer on pull off on the high E string, 10th fret, 13th fret, back to the 10th fret. So we got, and now I'm going to use a very similar lick, 13th fret, high E, pull off, down to the 13th fret in the B string, and then the hammer on and pull off on the high E is going to be 10th to 13th, back to 10th. So this sequence, when I put them together, you can have to the next one, and then doesn't always have to be in that exact order. Once you get the feel for these, you can start to reinterpret, if you will, and maybe change the order of the notes that you're using. You're going to start to come up with some really cool, quick runs. So all I'm doing is taking that basic pattern and running it down to the next group of strings, down to the next group of strings, but it's basically still using D minor pentatonic, and I had a blues note in there from the D blues scale. I think you get the idea for this particular pattern. The next pattern basically uses a couple of bends at the end so that you can get used to your bending technique on the high E string, on the B string, and on the G string. Now, typically speaking, we bend these notes in the pentatonic scale one whole step each, and as I said, typically speaking. So, here we go. That note there gets a whole step. That note there usually gets a whole step. This note here gets a whole step. So, I'm going to put a lick in front, and let me call out the lick for you here. 10th fret B string, first finger. I'm going to hammer on to 13th fret B string with my third finger, so. And then hammer on, pull off 10th fret, high E, 13th fret, high E, back to the 10th fret. 13th fret B string. And then the last note is going to be the high E string, 10th fret. Now after that sequence, I'm going to put in one of the bends. First it's going to be in the high E string, 13th fret, then it's going to be on the B string, 13th fret, then it's going to be on the G string, 12th fret. So here's our sequence. A little slow, and then we'll bring up the tempo a little bit. You can put some vibrato at the end of that bend if you want to. And the bend on the G string ends. And we bring up the tempo a little. And a little more. So you can see where we're headed with taking a little sequence from a song or a solo that you're working on and make that your technique exercise. So I gave you some examples to work on. You can try those, or take little pieces out of the songs that you're working on and make them into your own technique exercises. There you have it. Practice, practice, practice. I'll see you at the next lesson.